There are moments that split the world into before and after. Not because a king dies, not because a war begins, but because one person creates something greater than himself. A blinding light in the desert, a mushroom cloud of fire, a single second when night turns into day, and one man who watches without looking away. Later, he will remember a line from the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." A sentence like an echo, like a curse, like a confession. But before he became death, he was something else. A brilliant mind, a complicated man, a figure of charisma and darkness. J. Robert Oppenheimer. The world knows him as the father of the atomic bomb. But the real question is, did he build the bomb? Or did the bomb build him? And what happens to a man when he realizes that his greatest achievement might also be his greatest mistake? Because this story doesn't begin in the desert, it begins in New York, with a child too sensitive for his own time. New York, 1904. Oppenheimer grows up in a wealthy German Jewish family. Art on the walls, books on every shelf. His father, Julius, is a textile importer. His mother, Ella, is a painter. A family that believes in education like a promise. And in the middle of it all, a boy who stands out early. At 12 years old, he gives a lecture at the New York Mineralogical Club. The audience doesn't realize the speaker is still a schoolboy. He isn't loud. He's observant. He reads moods, pauses, glances. He quickly learns what it feels like not to belong, so he becomes controlled, polite, precise, composed. Knowledge isn't a hobby, it's protection, and the more uncertain he feels, the tighter he grips control. Then he goes where the future is being built. Europe. 1925. Physics in Europe is electric. Quantum theory, atoms, probability. Heisenberg, Bohr, Pauli. An entire generation rewriting reality. Oppenheimer arrives at Cambridge at the Cavendish Laboratory. He's assigned experimental work, and he's bad at it. So frustrated, according to some accounts, that he leaves a chemically treated apple on his tutor Patrick Blackett's desk. The story isn't fully confirmed, but what is certain, Cambridge considers disciplinary action. His parents intervene. He avoids expulsion, barely. His first real humiliation, brilliant, but not in the way you expected. Then comes the turning point. He moves to Göttingen to work with Max Born. In theoretical physics, everything changes. In 1927, he earns his doctorate in just 6 months, instead of the usual 4 years. Back in the United States, he becomes a magnate. By 1929, he's teaching at both UC Berkeley and Caltech, commuting between them every week. At Berkeley, he treats his students as equals. He trusts them with the deepest questions of physics, and because of that, they follow him. Then come 2 women, and both leave marks that never fade. Jean Tatlock, a psychiatrist, a communist, a woman who challenges him intellectually and emotionally. He loves her, but she struggles with mental illness. Their relationship breaks apart, again and again. He can't hold on to her, and he can't let her go. Then comes Kitty Harrison, 3 times divorced, intelligent, guarded. They marry in 1940. Their son Peter is born in 1941, their daughter Toni in 1944, right in the middle of Los Alamos. But Jean Tatlock never fully disappears. They still see each other, even after the marriage. And later, that will be written into his file. 1941. The United States enters the war, and suddenly, Oppenheimer, politically questionable, becomes the man they need. The Manhattan Project begins, a secret program, $2 billion. The fear: Nazi Germany is building an atomic bomb. If that's true, there is no second chance. General Leslie Groves is looking for a scientific leader. He chooses Oppenheimer, despite the risks, because he has something rarer than genius: the ability to bring people together and turn physics into decisions. And if he fails, it's not just him who fails. Los Alamos, New Mexico, 1943. A plateau, 7,200 feet above sea level. A city that doesn't exist on any map. Address: P.O. Box 1663, Santa Fe. That's it. Oppenheimer recruits the best minds in the world: Fermi, Bethe, Feynman, von Neumann. More than 6,000 people work there. Many don't even know what the others are doing. He's their leader, not a general, a translator. Between equations and egos, between fear and focus, he brings the brightest minds into one room and keeps them there. By day, calculations. By night, community. Children grow up, while, next door, equations are written that could erase entire cities. Kitty tries to make it feel like a life. Then something small happens. Late 1942, Oppenheimer's friend Harkin Chevalier tells him about someone offering to pass technical information to the Soviet Union. Oppenheimer refuses, but he doesn't report it immediately. Months later, when questioned, his story changes, more than once. First, he names 3 possible contacts, then only Chevalier. Why? Loyalty, and the belief that he can control the narrative. But one contradiction is enough. Questions attach themselves to it, motives attach themselves to the questions, and suddenly, your name is no longer genius, it's risk. This moment becomes the Chevalier affair, and 12 years later, it will come back for him. July 16th, 1945, 5:29 AM, New Mexico desert. The first atomic test in history. Then, light. An explosion equal to 21,000 tons of TNT, a fireball reaching temperatures of up to 10 million degrees, visible from 150 miles away. Oppenheimer watches. He isn't celebrating, he's watching. Up to this point, it was a project. From this moment on, it's an era. Because once something becomes possible, it stays possible. Later, he recalls the Bhagavad Gita, not for drama, but because he feels something physics cannot explain. You can create something that works, and still be wrong. 3 weeks later, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, between 110,000 and 200,000 people die. Oppenheimer becomes famous and marked. The war ends, the nuclear age begins. In 1949, the Soviet Union tests its own atomic bomb, earlier than expected. Washington is alarmed. Oppenheimer now serves on the Atomic Energy Commission's advisory board. He opposes the hydrogen bomb, a weapon 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. His argument: an arms race at this scale cannot be won. Yesterday, the man who made the impossible possible. Today, the man who says, stop. And in the Cold War, stop sounds like sabotage. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover has been watching him for years. The file grows. Old contacts, statements, contradictions. No one has to prove he's wrong. It's enough that he might be dangerous. Then comes 1954. No explosion in the desert, just a hearing. April 1954. 4 weeks of hearings before a security board. Not a courtroom, but it feels like one. His opponent, Edward Teller, father of the hydrogen bomb, former colleague. The questions circle back to Chevalier, to old friendships, to decisions made 12 years earlier. The real question isn't guilt, it's trust. On June 29, 1954, his security clearance is revoked. No clearance, no access, no influence. It's a public dismantling. Nobody on the table, just his name. Kitty fights for him, writes letters, builds support, holds everything together. Oppenheimer grows quieter. Not physically absent, but inwardly distant. He becomes a warning. If you question what you helped build, you lose your seat at the table. He spends his final years at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, where Einstein once worked. He lectures, writes, thinks. But the power is gone. The world he helped create moves on without him. Jean Tatlock died in 1944, officially suicide, age 29. Oppenheimer receives the news in Los Alamos. He says nothing, but those around him see it. Something has broken, something he can't name. 1963, President Johnson awards him the Enrico Fermi Prize, a late, half-hearted rehabilitation. Oppenheimer accepts. He says very little, because some things a prize cannot restore. He dies on February 18, 1967, of throat cancer. A lifelong heavy smoker, he is 62. Kitty outlives him by 6 years. Their daughter Toni, born in Los Alamos, dies by suicide in 1977. She is 32. What remains is hard to summarize. A physicist who changed the world, an advisor who was cast aside, a father who was often absent, a man who loved 2 women and could not fully hold either. He wasn't a monster, but he wasn't innocent either. He was a man who made a decision in a moment of history and spent the rest of his life living with the consequences. Because Oppenheimer's story endures for one reason. It shows what happens when science, power, and conscience collide, and none of them win. And in the end, one question remains, one no one equation can answer. If you can build something that changes everything, are you responsible for building it, or for refusing to?
The next legend and their incredible story are already waiting for you. Hit the link below and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like.